All right, good afternoon, everybody. Good evening in the UK. Hope everybody's keeping well and safe. This is Friday Night Likes, the Sunday edition. Tournament of Champions. What are we on now, Wally? Like the fourth week in a row, Tournament of Champions. This is to go through to the semi-finals, and we've got some great guests here tonight. Baz, Jazz, and the legendary Ian Bishop. Probably needs no introduction, but we'll let you do introductions to yourselves. Anyway, Wally, let's start with you. Who are you? Where are you? How do we find you on social media?
Okay, I'm Wally. I'm in King of Prussia, very close to where John is. So we are here, and I'm not drinking anything tonight because in our wonderful state of Pennsylvania, the liquor stores are still closed. So I'm having to ration myself. But cheers anyway, and I'll be keeping score.
That's a sad state of affairs, but yes, they've been closed, and there's no daylight either when they're going to reopen. That's actually hopefully to brew some beer later on, Wally. So you can always swing by if you need some, fella.
Awesome.
Let me boot you out. Jazz, what's up, man? Who are you? Where are you? How do we reach you on social?
Yeah, my name's Jazz. You can find me on JSU74Uphill on Twitter. I'm on the various West Ham sites. Avid West Ham fan since 1983, and also on your show a number of times, really. Yeah, so you can find me all over the joints, different channels and Twitter.
Yeah, Jazz, been a great guest. We appreciate you coming on tonight. Baz, what's going on, mate?
All is good. I'm Baz. You won't find me personally on Twitter, but you will find the channel I'm hosting, Claret and Blue Army TV. You also see me do a lot for Ida Caton and a fight against neuroblastoma. I'm currently in Bournemouth, bored out my head, been indoors for 2 weeks. I don't think I can do another 10. McDonald's must be kicking himself at not having my trade at the moment as well. But apart from that, I'm healthy and life's good.
There you go, Baz. There's always a silver lining. And like I said, the man that needs no introduction, Mr. Ian Bishop. How are you, sir? Where are you? How do we follow you on social?
I'm good, mate. I eventually made it back to Florida. Wasn't sure whether I was going to get in. I had a great trip to England lined up with 6 games, 6 different stadiums. Eventually got back there and only managed to get to the Arsenal-West Ham game. Result wasn't good, but had a great time at the end with the West Ham fans. Really made me feel like I wanted to go home, being back amongst them again. But here I am back in Florida. I've done my 2 weeks quarantine. Took my first walk along the golf course yesterday. Didn't realise how bad my old knees were until I woke up this morning. But
I'm not hearing a word he said.
Are you not?
No,
I've got him clear.
I didn't get a thing.
I didn't hear Wally, funny enough, either. I didn't hear Wally. I can hear Ian. Ian's fine. Yes, it's funny, isn't it?
Well, in the chat room, let us know if you can't hear anybody. I can hear all of you perfectly. So,
still going?
Yeah, keep going, Bish. Florida's not a bad place to see out your quarantine.
I looked in my fridge and I had Corona or Smirnoff.
Don't know what I'm laughing at.
So I went with the Smirnoff Ice.
Nicely done.
Brilliant.
Nicely done. Well, hopefully you can all hear each other for the questions, which are going to get going in just a second. For everybody in the audience, this is Friday Night Likes. Even though it's on Sunday, this is a game show. I'm going to ask a bunch of questions related to West Ham. These fellas are going to give us their best answers. When they make good points, they're going to get a thumbs up. Player with the most amount of points will go through to the semi-finals. And in the audience, you will also get a chance to vote as well. There'll be a audience vote where the audience get a chance to give 2 likes away to whoever they think is winning. So with that, we will get going. Question number 1, and actually, Bish, I'm going to come to you. So Baz and Jazz, Tim just told me if you two can back out and come back in, that may help with some of the audio issues. So I'll come to Ian first on the question. If you guys come out, I'll shoot you back in. There's been a lot of talk about pay cuts with the league, everything that's going on, and this would be quite an interesting perspective, I think. So what do you think about players taking pay cuts? Do you think they're obligated to take a pay cut? Should they have to take a pay cut? And why or why not?
I don't think they're obligated, right? I mean, at the end of the day, they make a shed load of money right now, don't they? And I think it would help. But I don't see why players should be singled out. People who are financially well off. I think that the people involved in the club at the higher level, players, the board of directors, the owners. I think maybe if they all came together and did the same thing, I think that would bring a sort of unity. I have looked and seen that some players are saying you're putting us under pressure now. I think it should be a gesture in the first place. At the end of the day, right now, you're not working. You're not working you're still going to be paid. The important people at the club are the people behind the scenes for me. You know, the supporters, the people behind the scenes who are having to take the pay cuts. I understand there's a scenario where now they're saying, okay, if we don't get paid, which I figured in the beginning, this is how I thought about it in the beginning was, don't be paid for the next 4 months. You still have made enough money in your life. You could go the next 5 years not being paid and you'd still be fine. Now, it's for an unbelievable cause that we're hopefully never going to see the likes of again. If for 3-4 months, if that's how long it's going to take, you don't take your wages, and don't get me wrong, not just the players. We've got to look at the people who behind the scenes who run the football clubs, who are so important to the overall upkeep and everything about the club. The players in the lower leagues as well, which if you think about it, it's where most of the young English players are. Now, if we want to take care of the future of our national team, then them clubs need to be taken care of also. And believe me, when we didn't complain, or the likes of myself, I didn't complain. When people always asked about the extortionate wages that players get today, and don't you feel you've missed out? I never complained about it. Never complained. I believe the player does deserve. The person who's performing does deserve that money. And I've said it in the past, 10, 15 years behind the US in the way they treat their athletes. Now, if you can take the money then when it happened, why not give something back now? But I think it should be a gesture rather than being made to do anything. I think it's better the world over if it's a gesture.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. Jazz, where do you stand? Are the players obligated to take a pay cut with all the pressure that's putting on them now?
I believe so. There's a couple of questions whether all the clubs and all the players will get together and agree jointly what we should do. Should it all go into one fund? Should it go towards the NHS first and then other key workers after that? So I think it's time to get together. I think even people like myself who are still working, I don't mind paying a bit more and helping the NHS, because I know the government is doing all it can. Every country, big countries are under debt. They're borrowing as well, and all have to be paid back at some time. And hopefully China can give some of that money back once everything's settled down. Thanks a lot anyway for all the issues you've caused. So I think it's just about how we're going to get together and how it's going to be managed, I think. But Ian's right. Hopefully the players will get together, like a captain will get everyone together, and all the clubs on the same footing, and they can agree one plan on how the money should be used, how much, what percentage, for how long, whatever, and where it should go. But yeah, we know the areas that need helping, NHS, and a lot of people who obviously not fortunate enough to sort of working every day like us. And Ian's right, a lot of people at the club, like the kitchen staff, the dinner ladies, the sort of the physios, the ground staff, they're not paid a lot of money, and it's crucial that we help them pay their bills going forward. The government's going to help for 3 months, but after that, or within 3 months, we've got to decide what we're going to do ourselves. But yeah, it definitely needs to be done though. Yeah.
Baz, what do you think? The players obligated to take a pay cut?
No, not obligated. Definitely not. I think you'll have a lot of good players that will put themselves forward. I think, like you've seen with Joe Cole. Joe Cole started saying and put a nice donation of 25 grand himself. And I think there'll be a lot of footballers, retired and current, that will do it. I think a friend of mine, I don't think this, a friend of mine, she's been a steward at West Ham for 20 years, home and away. She's been in hospital for December, had an operation. She's not been well, bless her heart, and sending her my wishes. To find out that West Ham ain't going to be helping her at all now. You know, West Ham ain't that club. You've got people at the top who boast about their promotion or their wage increase, how much more they've earned this year, how much more the club's earned. Start giving it back. That's my opinion. When you've got someone like Karen Brady, who ain't really liked at the club anyway, stop boasting about what you do and what you got and start helping other people out. You know, that woman's put her heart and soul into West Ham for the fans of that club. And without the fans, that club is nothing. So I think there's people higher up who could, but I do think someone, like you said earlier, a club captain, I think someone like Mark Noble will probably rally round the boys and say, come on, let's all chip in. You know, we ain't working for our money at the minute. We ain't got to do nothing with our own working out. Let's put a bit back. And like I think Ian said, they don't need to earn money like that every single week. But the problem is, when you earn that money, you get used to that lifestyle, and it's hard to give it up. That's the only thing I will say.
So, Baz, you touched on Karen Brady there. She said this week that she'd take the same pay cut as the players do. So, what more do you think she could do to show solidarity with, the regular staff behind the scenes at West Ham?
I just think the people like the kitchen staff that was mentioned earlier, the stewards, that they're always need. I think they need looking after. And let's be honest, they're not on fortunes, and that's no disrespect to them people. They don't earn thousands of pounds a week. You know, I'd guess if they got £100 a game, some of these stewards, that's probably pushing the boat out. That's too much. That ain't going to hurt a club like West Ham to look after them people, to make sure them people are there for them when it comes back. As for her taking a pay cut, it's easy to say. Don't say it, do it. Like, don't go around saying I'll do it if the players do. No one's making the players at the moment. Just go and do it. Maybe set a precedent. Because she ain't set nothing else for West Ham since she's been there, except for showing off for what she's done. So now show off and do something good. Show off and say, I've given this back now. This is what I've had out of West Ham. I want to give something back to the community, to the club, to the country, to help the NHS, blah, blah, blah.
Jazz, what do you think? Karen Brady, what more could she do?
I think, like Baz said, you should lead by example. And I believe Karen is the lady who is running the club day to day. I think the two other owners are too old. They don't go in to the sort of the ground, the club every day. They come at weekends to watch the game. And Karen day to day manages the club and reports back to them what's going on. So lead by example. Don't wait for the players to do something. Do it, and then everyone can lead, and other owners can do the same, really. So definitely she should do something. She's got a big bonus in the past, and relationships are not great between the fans, and this is a good chance for her to make amends, really, a little bit, and get a little bit, sort of nice feeling back on her side. Yeah.
What do you think, Bish? Karen Brady, what more could she do?
Well, I think without using this as a reason, it's happened. This pandemic has come on. It's a good opportunity for her to make that bond again that they've more or less well and truly lost with the supporters. I mean, I get asked them questions all the time. What do you think should happen with the owners and with Karen Brady? I don't want to get involved in that political side of the club because I get invited back there, and I love my times going back and being invited back and going into the lounges and seeing everybody there. I feel for the supporters, but I just think this would be a great time for it to mend some bridges. It shouldn't be a case of if they do it, I'll do it. It should be a gesture, and you shouldn't worry about other people. I even see some players saying, well, if we do it, why aren't other sports doing it? It's not what it should be about. I mean, the other sports should step up. I honestly believe, your Formula Ones and the richer type of sports, I honestly believe that they really don't need that money. So it's a time now just to step up. And don't say, it's not like time in the schoolyard. If you do it, I'll do it. And, I think it's time to step outside that box and say, I don't care what anybody else is doing. I'm doing my piece. And it'd be a great opportunity for her to make that link again. Because we are going to come back when we don't know. But we are going to come back. And it would be nice that if we came back to not only a decent run for the team, but a unity within the club again as well. I think that's important.
Completely agree. I think there's a huge opportunity, even though there's a massive disaster, right? There's a huge opportunity to put a good foot forward, put an olive branch out to the fans, and not to mention, Brady's got that column in the Sun as well. She's got a huge platform where she could really do a great PR offensive, being positive for the club, what we're doing to protect our staff, and maybe set an example for the rest of the clubs and leagues as well. But moving on. So, and Bish, you probably won't want to answer this one. I don't want to put you on the spot, mate. What player not named Roberto, Sanchez, or Wilshere most deserves a pay cut for performances this season and nothing to do with the virus? Jazz, we'll start with you.
Yeah, it's between two players. So I'm going to go for Philippe Anderson. I think he came in as a big marquee signing last season for a lot of money. We had a lot of high hopes in him. And the biggest thing for me is I actually did believe a lot in him. I think there's a great player in there waiting to come out, but it never comes out. He never fulfills his potential. He's got pace. I believe he's got everything needed to be a success in the Premiership, but he just doesn't try 100%. He hasn't got the confidence to kind of take people on. A lot of the time, I mean, he does get to the byline, and sometimes Haller didn't help him in terms of giving him sort of a channel to go down. But I think it's Anderson because he has been more or less fit for a large percentage of the time since we signed him, but he's just not delivered enough every game, really. He's been around a 6.5 to about 6.9 every game. And he's one of those players, unfortunately, in the summer, if we are going to sell someone to bring more funds in, he will bring a reasonable amount of money in. So it'll be Anderson, and he's one of the highest paid players at the club. And I think because of the investment we put in him, we've got hardly any return back, really. So it'll be Anderson for me, yeah.
That's a good shout, Jazz. Baz?
I think it's tough, that, to be fair. The only player I'd say who I don't think's been warranting their money and demanding more was Lanzini. You know, wanted this new contract, got the contract, got more money. Yep. We ain't seen the same Lanzini since we left the London State Upton Park. Possibly first part when Payet first left, but he got that injury. Bless him. You know, I don't wish any player injury. He's not been the same player since. As I say, he put his demands in of what he wanted, and he spent a lot of time away from the club. Not his own fault through being injured, and maybe it wouldn't hurt him to give a little bit back to say, look, let me up the rest of the staff here. That big money that he had while he was off sick, not doing nothing, he don't need. So Lanzini would probably be the one for me, but that's only probably because of his injury and his performances.
Understood. It's a good point. Bish?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Arnautovic. Because it was him that killed Lanzini and Anderson. The two players I was going to say, but the reason being is there's nothing worse than wasting talent. And I think that's what the two of them have done this season. They've wasted the talent that they have. It's difficult to say, okay, don't pay him his wages. Okay, that's what the question is. But for me, the two biggest disappointments are the two that the boys have mentioned. And for that reason, some players don't have that gift. And you have to accept they have to give something else in the game. The work rate or going and winning possession back or you know, you can give through inspiration, through talking and organising. When you have that talent and you don't produce, that for me is the biggest waste. And I would agree with the boys and say them two players, but I'm blaming Arnautovic. I'm thinking he was a star and getting his big money move, and them thinking if he can, why can't we? And they took their eye off the prize, you know what I mean?
The only thing that took me away from Anderson, if I'm honest, was I think he's had his confidence shot to pieces through being played out of position. I don't think he's a left winger. I think we see the best of him last season when he played through the middle at Arsenal. And that's probably why Lanzini edges it for me, because I just think Lanzini ain't shown nothing. And he looks like he don't even try a lot of the time.
Yeah, I was going to pick Lanzini as well, because Lanzini plays in a position nearly where Bish used to play. And I remember Bish asking for the ball, starting attacks, running back, winning it back. Everything what Bish done, Lanzini should be doing. Same position, skillful player, and disappointment because they're. Yeah,
I remember going bananas at Boundary Park behind the goal when he popped one in from 30 yards.
He's a hell of a player. He's got all the tools in his locker. I find he goes sideways a bit more than he goes north-south, which is a bit of his problem. But we'll keep this rolling on, and it's more depressing news with the league being suspended. The season has no start date in sight, obviously. So if this suspension goes into July, what do you guys think that they should do about the next three subjects? The first one being the current season. What should they do about the current season, Jazz?
I believe that the season should be kind of cancelled in terms of not restarting it. And what we should do is we should honour the people who've done well. So Liverpool should be given the title. The European qualification positions should be honoured, but no one should be relegated. But the top three in Division 1 should come up. So we get 23 clubs next season. And you keep doing that till Division 3, you end up with 3 clubs less. And then the following season, you could relegate, say, 4 and then 5, then 6. I think that's the best system I can think of. And that will mean that we hopefully still pre-season carries on and next season can start on time, I think. I don't want to be finishing games in late July, August, because that'll mess the whole calendar up going forward. So that's my solution, I think, yeah.
I like that. Bish?
I think the season should be finished, no matter if it's squeezed into a shorter period of time. I know players wouldn't like it. Should be finished behind closed doors, maybe. Players will say the congestion of the games. What about injuries? You know, what about fatigue? Well, what about that's your job, for one? that you get paid for. And I think slowly, okay, next season we'll start a bit later and run over. Maybe we can slowly, over the next 2-3 years, bring it back to what it is. It's something that's never happened before. We're obviously not used to it, but I'd like to see everything to a conclusion. Whether it be behind closed doors, whether it be congested, short space of time. Squads are big enough now that you can actually, I heard there was talk about a World Cup structure to finish it. I think forget the cup competitions, forget the FA Cup, the Champions League even, forget it, let it go. But I still think there's teams on the brink. There's so much money involved. Who was the third in the first division right now? It's supposed to be that playoff game is the richest game in the world, and it should be among. Okay, maybe there's a question to say who's third, fourth, fifth, and sixth now. Could they maybe play them games behind closed doors to decide the third place? Because it's chopped and changed, that league, so often this season. Yeah. As you've seen, West Brom have had their little runs and then fall down. Leeds have done the same. You've got your Fulham. What about Brentford, who may never get this chance to become a Bournemouth? They may never, a small club like that may never get this chance again. They're up there in with a chance of the playoffs. And I just think it would be unfair to clubs like that if we just stopped it all now.
Baz, tiebreaker.
Yeah, I've got to be honest with you. I think the same as Bish. I think it's going to be so unfair. And using Brentford as an example, you've only got to look at their three up front. They're a reason why they are where they are in the league. They're moving to their new stadium next year, which could have took them into the Premier League, into that new ground. Them players won't be there next year. And I feel sorry for Leeds. You look at them, their side, I think I'm right in saying they've got a lot of low knees. What if they'll go back? And even down to West Ham, we was just hitting a bit of better form, not results, better form. Although we lost to Arsenal, weren't a bad performance. We was due to play Tottenham. If we go and play Tottenham now in July, Harry Kane will be back. That goes against us. I'm just giving that as an example. But I do think it needs to be concluded. I'd feel so sorry for Liverpool because they've been brilliant, in fairness to them. But I just don't see how it will be, because I don't see how, even behind closed doors, you're still going to need, the players still need their massages every game. You're still going to need the people in the VAR room, and they're going to have this social distancing. And I worry, and I don't know how it ends, if I'm honest, but I believe it should end.
So what about the start date for next season? If this starts getting pushed back, actually, let me combine the next two questions I had into one. So what does it do to the transfer window, and what does it do to the start date for next season? If everything gets pushed, what do you do with those two things? Bish, we'll start with you.
I honestly don't know the ins and outs and the rules. Can you push it back? What FIFA will come up with, I have no clue. I feel lost. I'll be honest with you. I feel really lost. It's confusing to me. This is never going to go away. It's never going to go away. It's going to be a time where do we accept getting back to some normality? Because you know what, we might find a cure. We might find a remedy, but like the flu, it's going to keep coming back. I honestly believe we've got to eventually find a way of living with it. And I fear for us all about the next time anything like this happens, it's going to be complete shutdown. Obviously people are dying, so it's very, very serious, and there's no easy way out of it. I think that the transfer thing is, I don't know, it's something I've never sat and thought about. There's too many more important things going on. I don't know.
Certainly true.
No thumbs up because I don't know.
That's all right. It's just a show about opinions. Baz.
My opinion of it all, and I'm going to contradict myself because I think it should be finished, but I think for the sake of other clubs, if it don't get finished, it needs scrapping, everything. And that includes this up-and-coming transfer window. As I said earlier on, I used Brentford as an example. They'd lose all their players. That's not fair on them. And I just think if they call it a day this season, it ain't finished. Cancel all transfers this summer. I know there'll be many clubs who lose out, and there'll be other clubs that gain. But I think we all hear that this Jordan Sancho's a done deal at Man United, which for me it shouldn't go ahead. Brentford shouldn't lose out. The chances are West Ham will go and lose Declan Rice this summer with the way things are going. But for me, it should all be scrapped. Get the next season back started in August if they can't get it finished in time, which I don't believe they will. Every side has its same squad. You can't add to it. You don't lose from it. And you start again. And it's probably just been a waste of like 6-7 months so far this year if you can't get a finish.
I like that because it's going to be shit, but it's shit for everybody equally. Jazz.
Yeah.
Well, the solution of mine with the season ended, the pure reason was there's 9 games to go, which is a fair chunk, and playing games behind closed doors, I don't think it's going to work because we're meant to be sort of staying at home. And when you're playing behind closed doors, the away team's got the advantage. There's no home fans. I think club players will play 80% at most because they need 20% crowd behind them to really get the adrenaline flowing and have a proper game. And if there is a game behind closed doors, fans are going to get together, some watch it together. And my solution by ending it now is the window stays open. The following season starts on time. So those were the reasons. So for me, my solution, transfer windows as normal. You get the same period, season again, but you get that small window in terms of giving people as much time as possible to come out of this without gathering together, really, yeah.
It's a tough one, isn't it? And especially the behind closed doors thing, because if there's no supporters there,
Yeah.
you know, what's the game without supporters? I mean, I know we'd all be watching it on our telly and stuff, but, you know.
They've mentioned about playing them at neutral grounds, haven't they?
Right now, there's no football. You know, if every game's televised, you got to think about the money that the clubs are going to lose as well, the television rights. If the games are televised, it's for us now as people to do that social separation, and if people still think they need to get somewhere and be together, that's their responsibility to stay apart. If every game is televised, there's no need for you to go and get together. I understand how supporters feel, and if players in a relegation battle can't get themselves up to 100%, there's something wrong with them players.
I agree with that. That's certainly true. Wally, where do you stand on all this? What should we do there?
I think what we need to do is whatever keeps West Ham in the Premier League. That's all that matters to me.
Scrap it now, then.
Scrap everything. Yeah, take no chances, Wally.
Yes.
We're going into the last question tonight. So, how's the scores, Wally?
We got some big scores here. So we have Jazz with 9 likes, and Baz and Bish tied with 12. So exciting match here.
Bish, can you be quiet now? I'm not saying no more. He'll win this one. It's all on drink.
Everybody in the chat room gets to vote for who they think wins. So you can start your voting now. And like I said, there's a 4-part question I think coming up here. So you can vote from now until those questions are over. And whoever wins the chat room wins an extra 2 likes. Wally, I'm going to get rid of you. And we'll go into that last question of the night. We're running a tight ship tonight. This doesn't normally happen. So if the following players or former players were a type of drink, what type of drink would they be? And the first one is Felipe Anderson. Jazz, you had a downside with Anderson, so let's start with you.
Anderson would be a bad choice of buying a bottle of champagne. So it would be expensive, full of promise, great reputation. But once opened, the first glass is really nice and bubbly. But as you wind the bottle down, it gets more and more flat. The bubbles kind of go away. And when you pick a bad bottle of champagne, you get a headache the next day and you want to drink something a little bit down to earth. So I think it's very expensive drink, but sometimes when you pick the wrong one, it's not very good results at the end of the day, really. Yeah.
Bish, you've never had a drink, have you? Felipe Anderson.
About 5 seconds, no. You can't beat me to it. I also had champagne. When he turns up, it's a special occasion.
Nice one. Baz.
Yeah, he's a Foster's to me, mate. If you have 1 or 2, it's a load of bollocks. But if you have 10 of them, he's brilliant. And I think he's going to be a Foster's for me.
Nice one.
Quality, mate.
Arthur Masuaku. Baz.
He's a Jaeger bomb because he gives me an headache. Because he has got so much ability. I feel for him because he ain't a left back, so he shouldn't be playing left back. But he's got so much ability, but we just don't see enough of it now. And so he's a Jaeger bomb. He's walking into the pub, the Weatherspoons, on a Saturday morning before a game, ordering 4 for a tenner, sinking all 4 and singing, oi, oi. Getting on it. That is him.
Jazz.
Sambuca shots for me. Always ruins my day. So usually when I go out, everything's going fine. And someone buys a Sambuca shot, and after 2-3, I lose a feeling in my legs. I have a memory loss. The next morning, don't remember what I've done. End up with a bad headache. And it's a drink you quickly drink, like Masuaku, but very bad results afterwards. He gets sick. It ruins her all evening. So Sambuca for him.
Bish.
I look like I'm copying him. Me and Jazz are on the exact.
You two drinking partners.
I said Sambuca. 1 minute he's on fire, the next he's gone.
Nice one. Nice one. You're keeping them very clean, Bish. I appreciate that. It's very good point. Good stuff. Right, and club legend Carlton Cole. What drink would he be, Bish?
I'm going for a simple answer. I think he'll be a Bailey's at Christmas because everybody likes it.
Everybody does like Carlton. What a guy. Baz.
It'd be a Bucks fizz at a wedding for me because when you walk in, everyone takes one and you want a bit of it. So Colton is the man, and he's a Bucks fizz that everyone wants a bit of.
Jazz.
A pint of real ale, something that's traditional, down to earth. Everyone likes ale. People are loyal to it. Doesn't upset anyone. Room temperature served, traditional and reliable. Does what it says on the tin. So that's Carlton Cole for me, or real ale. Yeah, pint.
Now we've got a controversial one. Last one of the night. Everybody in the chat room, please get your votes in. Who you thought won tonight's Friday Night Lights. If this player was a drink, what drink would he be? The player is Ian Bishop. Baz.
The best champagne in the market. Mate, you seen that? You seen that geezer sprayer pass around? All you got to do is get one of them on the bottle, mate, and it's everywhere. That's how good he is. The best champagne you can get. I'll buy you a bottle of it and all. I'll tell you what, Bish, if life's back to normal, on the 9th of August, we got Isla Caton's charity football match that we done last year with loads of old West Ham players. Come down and get your boots on and spray some balls around for us.
There you go.
Playing, mate, yeah?
Colton to be playing. You can put one on to Colton for us.
All right.
Jazz.
18-year-old single malt whiskies is kind of Bish. It's smooth, it's silky, it's kind of dependable, it's quality, it's mature, it's kind of built, it's got foundation, acquired taste. Single malt is Bish.
Love it.
Damn word and foundation.
Bish, what drink are you?
I'm going to sound really conceited. I'm a fine wine because I feel I got better with age.
Yes, there you go. There you go.
Age, not AIDS.
Wally, what drink am I, Wally?
What drink are you? You're a homebrewed mystery ale you're making in your basement over right there. I think that's what you are.
That's probably right. I'm drowning in that stuff.
Yeah. Excellent.
Well, thanks for everybody. Wally, why don't we go over the final scores here?
Wow, we got some big scores and a very tight match here. We had Jas with 13. We had Bish with 16. Baz with 17. And in a close call, the chat room vote went to Bish, and that gives him 2 more. So he wins by a single point.
Oh, close.
Wow, the chat room rules again.
Yeah, chat room pushes Bish over the top.
I'll take relegation as long as West Ham don't get it.
Absolutely,
Bish,
absolutely. Let me clear the room.
Hang on one sec, Bish. I'll let you have the victory as long as you confirm you play on the 9th of August. And I'll DM you the details after. I'll tell you what, we're even sort out your flight over.
So and it's all legal and above board. I'm allowed to go.
Mate, I promise you, I'll send you all the details through next. And all the old players
stay in the green room. Stay in the green room. He'll be back in a second. Bish, you get to address the West Ham faithful in the show. And what do you want to say to supporters during this time?
Well, obviously, stay safe and adhere to all the rules and regulations. We will get our game back. And when we do, hopefully we'll finish it off. We'll be safe and we'll look forward to a brighter future.
Fantastic stuff. Bringing everybody back, and we're going to end the show. Thank you, everybody, for taking part. Baz, Jazz, Bish, fantastic stuff as always. Thank you, everybody in the chat room. If you haven't subscribed yet, please hit subscribe. And listen, we'll see you next time. We're on to the semi-finals, so please make sure you come back and visit us on Friday Night Lights. Come on, you Irons.
All right.